Hello, everyone. Welcome to All Things Aviation and Aerospace at the EAA Youth Education Center located at the EAA Aviation Museum. I'm Vince Mickens, and it is day 4 of EAA AirVenture at Oshkosh, located here at Wittman Regional Airport in Oshkosh, Wisconsin. Weather-wise, I use a term called 90-90. It's over 90 degrees and over 90% humidity. So it's hot and thick. But we're comfortable in here with the air conditioning, everything inside the Youth Education Center. This Youth Education Center is quite impressive. And we're going to let Paul tell us all about it and some of the other things that they're doing in terms of letting young people know about opportunities in the industry and kind of letting them get a feel for some things, which is what they do here. Behind me, you can see a set of labs, and it's active right now. There are a bunch of kids that have been coming and going that come in for a session for probably about 30 minutes and get to test the waters with design or a simulator or things like that. So really impressive stuff. As I said, we'll be talking about. I also have 2 very special guests, one who's been on my show a couple of times before, all the way from Johannesburg, South Africa, Ledwaba Refilwe. And I just reversed your name, didn't I?
Yeah, I know you did, but it's okay.
And you know what? I've been doing it all morning. I just keep wanting to call you by your last name, Refilwe Ledwaba. Refilwe is from Johannesburg, South Africa, as I mentioned, and this is her first time at the show. So she's been here since like the weekend, checking things out and having a good time. And with her is her partner in aviation crime, her colleague in aviation, Adriana. Adriana is originally from Mexico, currently lives in Savannah, Georgia, right, Adriana?
Yes.
Yeah, lives in Savannah, Georgia. And they have been camping here. So they've done something I haven't, but you totally soak it in when you camp here. I mean, it's 24/7 aviation, which it pretty much is anyhow, even if you're coming and going. But because anybody that hasn't been to this place, you said something, Refilwe, that really resonated with me, and it is hard to describe this show.
Yep.
Because it's so massive, because so many people come, because there isn't anything that has to do with aviation that is not here. Whether you're flying a kite or an A350 Airbus, it's all here, and everything in between. And the military aircraft, I was watching the Raptor the last couple of days, which you can't miss because it blow your eardrums out. But boy, what an impressive and maneuverable fighter jet. So great stuff going on there. I'm looking to see, and I don't see him yet. I'm trying to see if we can get Paul back into the picture. But while we're waiting for Paul and trying to figure that out technically, let's talk a little bit about you guys. So I'm going to start with you, Refilwe, now that I'm pronouncing your name in the right order. You have a real interesting background. I'll tell everybody up front, you're both a helicopter and fixed wing pilot.
Yes.
You flew A-Star helicopters for the South African police, and that was not on your radar when you first started out your career. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on the show. Again, it's been such an awesome time at Oshkosh. So a bit of my background, you're right. Flying a helicopter was never on my radar. I wanted to become a doctor because I was never exposed to the aviation industry. And I mean, this place that we're at, it fits what I just said, perfectly because, inspiring young people. So when I was growing up, we didn't have facilities like this where young people, I could be inspired or learn about the industry. So I set my side on becoming a doctor, and I studied a Bachelor of Science until I got exposed to the industry. And as they say, the rest is history.
Yeah. How about you, Adriana? So I'm just learning about you. I'm meeting you for the first time today. And first of all, you have an aerospace engineering degree. And you've actually worked in aerospace engineering as a research engineer, a flight test engineer, et cetera. for a number of years. You're currently a CFI, teaching people how to fly a tailwheel, which is pretty cool. And you also have a foundation called Orca. So first of all, tell us a little bit about you and aviation. Where did aviation come from? How did you get involved? And when did you decide to study aerospace engineering?
Well, thank you again for welcoming, for such a welcoming way to include me in the show.
You didn't know you were going to do a Zoom call in the middle of being here. You're just camping and enjoying all the activities here, and all of a sudden this guy named Vince says, "Hey, you're a friend of Refilwe, so you need to come and be on the show too."
Yeah. I'm glad to be here, and thank you for including me. Well, as a kid, I embraced my curiosities, and even though in my social circle I did not have anybody in aviation, I was fortunate to live close to an airport, and watching the arrivals often engage my curiosity, and thankfully internet allowed me to feed that curiosity and learn about flight sciences, and everything else kept sparking and my curiosity and feeding that spark until eventually I
went to school and started studying it.
I was just convinced that I was going to find a good life in aviation.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, because aviation is a good life. It's a great experience. You have, it brings you into a community of meeting people on all levels in terms of what they do in the industry, whether they fly or they're a mechanic or they're an engineer or whatever the case. But we're all kind of the same mindset. We all kind of think alike, and it's a lot of fun. And I've obviously been in it a long time. You can see the gray hairs there. But I've always found it to be a very welcoming community and that type of thing. And that brings us back to you guys being here at Oshkosh, which, it's called EAA AirVenture, but for those of us who've been around for a long time, we call it Oshkosh, bottom line, even though that's just the name of the city where it is. Refilwe, first time.
Yes.
And you're from another country. So you come in here, and I don't know, what's it been like?
So I've heard about Oshkosh, and it's been on sort of my bucket list, something that I wanted to do. But what I came here, when I came in on Sunday, we came in on Sunday, right? Yeah. Yes. I didn't expect what I
you can't even remember when you got here.
Yes. And, it's just been awesome. And I remember coming in, and the first thing that we saw were this vintage aeroplane parked. And I could not believe it. And I was like, oh my word. And, and just a variety. And some of them I've never seen before. So she was like laughing at me, because she's like, no, this is nothing. You just have seen, you've seen just like 0.1% of what this place is all about. Because I thought that is it, because it made sense to me that should be it. And it kept on going, and just so many airplanes and so many things. And then the first day, and so that was so nice as well, that just going back, we're also camping, meaning that we get woken up by sound of airplanes. And when we go to sleep, there's also airplanes. And we're the first people to see, kind of the sunrise.
See and hear, right.
Yeah, so that has been awesome. And Vince, you mentioned before I can get to my next point, you mentioned something quite important as well, that, aviation is a community. And we didn't know some of the people that we're camping around, but by now we pretty much know everyone there. Because we
like a neighbor, right?
Yeah. Which one is yours? Which airplane is yours? Which one are you flying? Oh, okay. You should. So it's just been, it's just been amazing.
Sure.
And so the next day, the first day, typical, I want to see everything, and I'm trying to do everything. And by a half day, I realized that that's impossible. I need to be strategic.
It's impossible to see everything in 7 days here.
It's not. And I'm realizing that on the day. And so, yeah, just going back to the app and seeing some of the things that interest, that interest me, and some of the, key takeaways. And you have to be that strategic where you need to have some kind of key takeaways. What do you want to take out of the, of the whole experience? So I've had to go back, and it's just been amazing.
Yeah. So I was going to, two things, because I was thinking of, like I usually do, think of several things at the same time, multitasking here in my mind. But let me go to you first, Adriana. You're kind of a veteran in the sense that you've been here 4 times. This is your 4th, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So how has this show evolved from the times you've been? And did you come consecutively, year after year, or did you come and then missed a few years and then come back and missed a few years? How did that work, and how did the show evolve in terms of what have you seen in terms of because this show has grown over the last 70 years, but in the last several years, it's grown exponentially in terms of, to give people an idea, by the end of this week, by Sunday, there will probably be somewhere between 650,000 to 700,000 people that have come to this show in a 7-day period. That's an average of 100,000 people a day. That's a lot of people. And if you're here, you're like, yeah, that many people are here. So 10,000 airplanes, 3,000 of them on display, 1,400 workshops. And I'm not even talking about the stuff here going on at the Youth Education Center. I'm talking about people that are talking about how to reshape a propeller, or how to fix something on their wing, or how to do something different to the engine that has the same kind of problem, all those kind of things. Kind of I call them STEM workshops and seminars and things like that. And then there's all these other things that have taken place. But Adriana, what's been your perspective?
Well, your Oshkosh experience changes as you change as an individual. And the first time that I came to Oshkosh, I was a sophomore in aerospace engineering. That was about 10 years ago. And I had a similar experience as Refilwe. Coming from Mexico, we have just a handful of air shows where we are amazed by the air shows and aerobatic pilots that visit our country.
Yes.
And that first visit for me was just out of everything that I could imagine. And it was discovering the world of aviation, like in one place that is
in one location. Yeah.
In one location, yes.
Yeah.
In that, I remember being in that as a first experience. I think as a young professional, I was looking for inspiration, confidence, and I was able to meet so many of my heroes in that first visit. People I read about in books, history. They were engaging with us in speaking engagements, and for me, that was how my first experience looked like. It was meeting with history, with aviation, with everything in one place. So it was very empowering and overall exciting. My second visit, it was consecutive. I came every year in the summer when I was in doing my aerospace engineering degree. And eventually everything started to shift towards education. I love learning, and attending workshops was great. Then, like 9 years afterwards, I'm coming back and discovering that the experience has now. I am discovering what people, the work of people, And everybody, I think if you're interested in aerospace engineering, in airplanes or any product in aviation or service or people and organizations, you can appreciate how everybody's working on their part to create the future of aviation, and that's exciting. So everything, I think, and you can find everything in Oshkosh.
Well, and I think you touched on one of the important factors here. This is a place of inspiration. You can't help but get inspired. So if you have any inkling to do anything in aviation, yes, be a pilot, a professional pilot for the airlines or for corporate or things like that, cargo, etc. Yes, be a mechanic. Yes, be an engineer, but anything else, we talk about things like somebody has to design the interior of the aircraft. So somebody has to know about fabric and all of that. And then, of course, in our industry, that fabric has to be able to withstand certain temperature extremes and altitude compression and all of those kind of, physics and things like that. And somebody has to have expertise in that. And that's just naming one thing or just a few things. So I think you bring up a really good point, though, that you can't help but be inspired when you're walking around and seeing all the different kind of airplanes. And I have to emphasize, every kind of airplanes that don't look like they can fly, but they do, are here. Military, the full from a fighter jet. They even this go around. They have a couple of the NASA plane. They call it the Guppy. And it's a weird looking aircraft. Actually flies and actually can carry a large cargo in it and things like that. So and some of the other aircraft I named. So point well taken on that about the inspiration side of it. What and this is for really both of you. I was going to ask what has stood out the most, but that's probably yesterday. Women Venture, which was a whole day of a whole bunch of things. So tell us about Women Venture and also about maybe what has really stood out for you while you've been here.
Yeah, I mean, as a woman, Women Venture has been one of the highlights. But just before I get into that as well, I think just the fact that, like you said, there is a bit of everything. There's a lot of workshops that I have enjoyed as a pilot. How to build this, how to build this. Some of the things that you don't really get taught in your training, in your particular training. And, you sort of start getting into those technical things. So that has been exciting. But obviously, Women Venture has been exciting because we've had a lot of panel discussions. We were able to network with women. And just like Adriana said, some of these women you wouldn't normally have access to on an everyday, every day you wouldn't, the ranks and the things that they're doing, they are so high level that you wouldn't get access to them. But when you're here at Oshkosh, I couldn't believe some of the women that I was actually talking to, like face to face. And I'm like, I'm actually talking to you. They're like, yes, you were talking to me. Because on a normal day, you wouldn't be able to, to access them. So we had a networking event that was organized by Women in Aviation International in the morning. It was so nice because we knew quite a few people, because that's how we met. We met at Women in Aviation International in Dallas in 2015. So we knew a few people from there, which was awesome as well. We had awesome inspirational speakers. But I think for me, what stood out was a panel discussion of some of the first women that flew combat airplanes in the Air Force. And it was just so amazing, humorous, and just so inspiring because sometimes, we, as you go through our careers, there's certain things that maybe we normally don't discuss. And they were really open about the experiences, and really good experiences and really positive experiences as well. So that was actually, and just sharing war stories, what they were doing and what they did. And you're looking at them like, man, this is so cool. So that was absolutely, I think absolutely awesome. And for me, I got to as well, I know South Africa always is one of the biggest delegation here. So I went to visit the South African camp. which because they didn't know I was here, and I didn't know up until I got here that there is South Africans that actually come to Oshkosh, and we end up staying there for like hours, and just talking about them, and again re-networking. Some of them I didn't know them, and I know them from here. And with the spirit of aviation and whatever, I don't know how many flights now I've been invited to. So when I get to South Africa, I'll be flying from Monday to Friday, because everyone's like, "Oh, you need to come and fly my aircraft. You need to, come and fly my aircraft." And that's what Oshkosh is all about. You get here. By the time you get out of here, you would have like your whole calendar filled with people inviting you to just join that passion, join that community, and just be excited. So yes, I'm a new member of EAA in Johannesburg, and I will be flying with them quite often. So that was really exciting for me.
Awesome. Yeah, I can only imagine being invited to do something back in your home country. And I was going to ask you guys about a couple of things. One is about your flight training, and I'll start with you, Adriana. Where did you, start your flight training, and tell us about that whole process in terms of you from where you started to where you are? Because we understand you went through, in an engineering education, but tell us about the flight training side of that.
Well, I started flying in Mexico, got my private pilot certificate in Mexico. And as soon as
which city, if you don't mind me asking?
In Guadalajara, Mexico.
And what kind of aircraft did you train in down there?
Grumman Tiger and 150.
Okay.
Yes.
Cool.
As soon as I completed that certificate, the course took about 5 months. I came to the US to start my aerospace engineering degree, and for that slowed down my progress in flight training. And it was not until I got the opportunity to work as a research student in a laboratory that I was able to earn money that was going to feed all my aviation training. So I got my instrument rating in Wichita, Kansas, where I was doing my aerospace engineering degree. And after graduating from aerospace engineering, I was finally able to finish my commercial. It took several years.
So you were doing both. You were back and forth.
Yes, I was studying all the flight science disciplines and combining that with my flight training and paying for that flight training with my work as a research engineer. And so it was a slow process, and my experiences is a mix of positive and negative experiences, but overall I was able to get my commercial pilot certificate in after graduating, and my Certified Flight Instructor certificate 3 years after that.
Yeah. What is in terms of one of the things that you've done as a pilot, or as an engineer, I should say, is flight test engineer. Tell us from your perspective what that job entails.
Well, for flight test for me it was the best way to apply it is a multidisciplinary field, because if you have a mind that loves to understand what's happening, flight test is fun, is engaging, because it allows you to combine all the disciplines in aviation, from aerodynamics, aircraft systems, everything that is within flight, from flying the airplane to to weather decision-making, risk management.
Yes.
So to me, flight test is a field that allows you to develop, improve, and certify the technology that we are going to use tomorrow. And it is challenging for and engaging for all of the people that love learning, because you must have I believe you must have a multidisciplinary perspective to be able to find problems, solve problems, and be creative about how are you going to develop the technology of tomorrow. So it's for those that are into flight sciences and are hooked by aerodynamics, it's a great field to explore if you are interested.
Speaking of that, so what do you guys think of this education center? Both of you walked in, and from the moment you walked up to it to coming inside, I could tell you were very impressed, like I have been.
Yeah, it is amazing. I mean, they've got few labs, and in each lab they are running activities, hands-on activities, electronics, weather, flight simulators, everything that you can think of. So as a young person, just coming to this lab, I can assure you that just by walking in, you would want to fly, because it's amazing. It's an amazing way of introducing young people to aviation. And then as well, just because aviation, there's a lot of hands, where you have to use your hands, and with the simulators as well, it's exciting for them. So I was like, wow, I mean, I wish we had something like this, because it will really interest young people into getting into the industry. And I remember one of the panels as well was yesterday that we attended. They were talking about how do we keep on getting young people to get interested. And this is a perfect place that is designed to do exactly that. Because if I was young and I came here, I can assure you, I would do exactly what I'm doing now, be flying. So it is amazing, yeah.
How about you, Adriana?
Well, I think it goes to building a highly positive aviation experience. I was lucky that the motivation to keep learning about aviation came from within.
Mm-hmm.
And even with as simple as having internet access and just a simulator at home, and the ability to buy books and read, mm-hmm. was for me enough to propel, and of course a lot of aviation movies was for me enough to propel my journey. But I think nowadays you sometimes that's not always possible, having being able to have that coming from within, and having a positive experience that is immersive, that is genuine and direct. It's again, I think it's all about exploration in life and being able to understand that you like something or you don't, and then that is fun or and is interesting or is not. And I think it's a great laboratory for. I was excited when I learned you were building this, and it's amazing we are sitting here today.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're pointing at the wind tunnel behind you. I know, it's pretty cool. How often do you have a wind tunnel in a classroom, for kids to actually see how wind tunnels work, and wind tunnels go back to the early days of aviation in terms of testing or airfoils and things like that. By the way, I just got a hold of Paul, and we had a technical problem, but he's going to come join you ladies in a couple of minutes. So don't be surprised you see him walking in with the chair and coming in between you. But while we're waiting for him, Refilwe, you have an interesting track that I'd like you to talk a little bit more about. You wanted to be an airline pilot initially, and fly fixed wing.
Yeah.
Helicopter was something that was presented to you, and you can tell the story, that actually surprised you, and you ended up really enjoying it.
No, and I think it was because obviously I didn't know a lot about the industry. So my initial wanted to become a doctor, and then when I got exposed to the industry, I was set on becoming an airline pilot because I used to work for an airline, and I started taking private lessons and paying for myself. But that was going to take long because I could only afford about 1 to 2 hours a month because I was still paying my student loans and all this. So I decided I'm going to write letters to each and every company that I know. It didn't matter whether they were in aviation. If they had a little bit of extra money, I'm sure they could help. So I wrote close to 200 letters to different companies, and there were 3 companies that responded. And the first company was interested, obviously, in my story. You know, I had a science degree and I was already flying, and, you know, I've taken initiative, but they were interested in flying and training me as a helicopter pilot. And by then I didn't know anything about helicopters because I was never exposed to, you know, that particular environment. And I remember I was like, no, but I want to fly, fixed wing and become an airline pilot. And the second company. And it was on the third one that, you know, we started having this conversation. I'm like, I need to actually be strategic about this. And I knew that they had aeroplanes because they said to me, we've got aeroplanes as well, but we want to train you as a helicopter pilot. So I ended up taking up that particular opportunity. And in my head, I'm thinking, you know, I'm going to go in, do the training, and I'm going to stay like 2 years and then transition back to the fixed wing and become an airline pilot. I kid you not, the first time I got into that helicopter, I'm like, wow, this is amazing. And instead of the 2 years, I ended up staying 10 years. And it was just one of the most exciting 10 years of, you know, my flying career. Even now, having flown fixed wings, I know the fixed wing pilots wouldn't like this, what I'm going to say, but having flown, Adriana won't like, but having flown.
I understand.
Hey, it's okay. Flying is flying.
It's flying, but you know, I'm a helicopter pilot in my heart.
Hey, I'm a fixed wing guy, but I love helicopters too. In fact, I've been enjoying watching the Bell 47s here giving people rides. I call it the MASH copter.
Yeah, it is absolutely amazing. And again, Vince, it goes back to, you know, sometimes when you don't know anything, it doesn't necessarily mean that you wouldn't be interested in knowing. I didn't follow a traditional way of how you fall in love with the industry by playing with a small aeroplane, because it was never a viable career choice. I was never exposed to that particular industry. I didn't have internet like you did, at least, or computers to do research. But once I got exposed and I really took that first flight, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And just imagine, like the center like this, having, exposing young people to at this young age.
Right. It's awesome. Speaking of, so that's a perfect cue. Is Paul, there he comes. Paul was like, thank you for giving me my cue. There you go. Oh, works out perfectly. Paul, sorry we had those technical problems, but at least, we're all good. Listen, we've been talking about this education center and how fantastic it is and how much influence it can have on young people to give them a little bit of a taste of experience for the industry. So, fill us in. Tell us a little bit more about the history of this, and because it's brand new. I mean, you guys have been around. EAA's been around a long time, and the museum's been here a long time. But this is new.
Yeah. So 70th anniversary for EAA this year, 30th anniversary for the Young Eagles program, 40th anniversary for the Air Academy program, the 25th anniversary for Teacher Day, and the museum programming that we have been sponsoring now, again, for 25 years. And yet this facility that we're in right now, and I love the fact, Vince, that you are showing behind you all of the kids and the people that are engaged in activities here right now. I mean, we're kind of sandwiched in between. We have 2 labs on either side of us, so there are 5 labs total here. And this facility is brand new, just opened up last year at AirVenture. And in just the first few months of this calendar year, we've exceeded already the entire number of youth that came through last year in doing museum programming. So we're really very pleased by not only the activities that are available for the regional youth, but on grounds through AirVenture, we have so many things for kids to do. I mean, not only here at the Youth Education Center, but we have an AeroEducate Center, which is the online program. And we're showing families and youth all of the different possibilities that are available by participating online at aeroeducate.org. And then, of course, the Air Academy campers continue to run, and
which I took a tour of the facility yesterday. It's really impressive and really inviting for the kids. I mean, they thought of everything.
It's a neat facility.
It's a neat facility, and we come to a camp, and yeah, you're doing the aviation thing, but to do it with the comfort that Air Academy provides,
right?
Yeah, it's very cool. Listen, tell us about these labs going on right now. The program that you're doing today. Kids are coming and going. What's going on in some of the labs on either side of you guys?
So there is definitely an electronics assembly lab that's happening right next door to us, where kids are actually soldering circuits together and assembling an LED structure that runs its light through a clear plastic base and up towards an F-35 model that they also put together. So that's a really fun one. We also have a circuitry activity that we do. We have a wing rib assembly activity that's available. And
is that with balsa wood or something? Yeah. I saw that one. And then you have a simulator room, right?
Yes. So we have both we use a flight sim on a laptop with a joystick that is available. And then down below us on the main floor is the Pilot Proficiency Center that has
the Redbird.
12 Redbird sims with certified flight instructors and even a crosswind sim. And throughout this week, those who already have pilot licenses or are getting very close to finishing their PPL are allowed to sign up and get actual instruction that they can put into their logbook.
You know, I know they're trying to be cool, Refilwe and Adriana, but when you said Redbird flight simulators, I'm sure they're like, where? And are we going downstairs when this is over?
Yeah, and EAA and Redbird are very close together. And so we have Redbird Sims at the Learn to Fly Center that youth can also participate, as well as anybody that's wanting to maybe polish some skills. And then Redbird is here on the grounds as well with multiple simulators. I mean, pretty much anywhere you look, throw a stone, you're going to hit a sim somewhere.
Absolutely. So you have all of these activities going on, and of course the show itself. What can you tell us from your perspective about this great show that they have every summer here for 7 days?
Well, we were talking about this earlier, weren't we? I mean, it's your first time, and you've been here a few times, right? And I'm kind of a newcomer. I came in 2018, came again in 2021 with a couple of my brothers who are also into aviation, to try to understand what AirVenture is. It defies explanation. It defies the ability. I mean, you were saying it's like you can try to explain it, but it's like
we were talking about that earlier. Absolutely, how difficult it is. Exactly. You know, Paul, I kind of threw you in the hot seat here and haven't given our audience a chance to. I mean, you were on the show a couple of weeks ago, but tell us again about your background, because you're an educator,
right? So I actually came to EA straight out of the classroom. I taught U.S. history for the 7th and 8th grade level for 16 years. Actually, before that, I had about 20 years in corporate management and project management. Before that, I was actually in the U.S. Air Force and had the opportunity to fly the T-37 Tweet, which was an awesome experience. Fully enjoyed that, but it was a lot of work.
Yeah.
Well, coming here, I bring all of that variable background with me to manage all of the education programs here at EAA. So that includes this facility, it includes the Air Academy, and it includes the aeroeducate.org website.
Yeah. What's going to be going on the rest of today, tomorrow, and through the weekend in terms of you guys' programs?
So we definitely have a youth group that is completing their activities here in the Youth Education Center. And then we have a wrap up for Girl Venture that is happening. And then, and by the way, Girl Venture, it has grown for over the last many years. It is one that you have to pre-register for, but it is available as an immersive experience here at AirVenture every year. And then at the Aero Educate Center, we have NASA giving presentations. We have Airbus is giving a presentation right now. And
I know I'm missing it. You see my Airbus hat. Yeah. Go ahead. Mm-hmm.
And we also have, so for tomorrow, we have lunch with an engineer who's an aerodynamic engineer. That will be really interesting. And then on Saturday, we actually have a presentation that's being given by a 28-year-old PhD who works for Sierra Space, and she is a literal rocket scientist. And she's going to be telling us about what she's working on as a presentation. But then again, we also have the hands-on activities that are available through the afternoons. And so we invite anybody that's on the grounds to come and check out the Aero Educate Center. There's also this year a brand new youth welcome center that is designed to help families to kind of get a start. You know, it's like, where do you go? What's of interest to my kids? And that's the best place to start. Is the Youth Welcome Center located at the Four Corners area as you head out towards Boeing Plaza.
Yeah. You know, one of the things we always have a tendency, especially as pilots, we talk about general aviation, professional aviation in terms of commercial and things like that. But also a lot of the kids are interested in space exploration. And I know that you guys have some things that cater to that. You even have NASA here with the Guppy and that type of thing. Can you speak on that a bit?
Sure. And in fact, again, you know, we recognize that aviation and aerospace kind of go glove in hand, right? I mean, they interlace with each other. And so we are definitely working and looking for more opportunities to bring that space exploration. So we're working very, very closely with NASA. In fact, from the Aero Educate site for teachers, so there's a separate section for teachers and youth group leaders that point to all of the NASA activities that they have available. We just signed an agreement with Estes Rockets. And so we're super excited about that possibility, that as we continue to develop some fun activities for kids building and launching their own rockets. Yeah.
You were talking about Girl Venture. You had an activity here yesterday, Girls in Aviation, or was that, am I mixing it up?
Right.
Is that the same thing?
There's a separate event that we host called Girls Can Fly.
Girls Can Fly. That was yesterday, right?
We had that, actually, we did one a couple months ago, and we'll have another one in the fall.
Okay.
So, yeah, but there's also, you're right, the Girl Venture is a multi-day event.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. I saw the signs. So that's how I knew. Anything else that stands out to you that you want to tell us about, you know, why we have you? Because you are the boss. So but tell us about the education center that you haven't mentioned.
So
go ahead.
That Boeing has very generously donated the finances to be able to allow all youth from 2 to 8 through 18 to be able to come to AirVenture for free. And so if you're not, if you haven't come to AirVenture, you're thinking about maybe doing it, you're not sure whether the kids could come with or would even be interested, I would invite you to consider planning now for AirVenture 24. And all of the things that we're doing for youth will continue to grow and improve. And we're super excited. We're already taking ideas for next year. But to give you an example, on Monday, we had Mac and Zara Rutherford, who are the Belgian teens that each flew solo around the world in an AeroShark aircraft. And they both gave presentations Monday morning to an absolutely jam-packed forum house. I mean, we had double the...
I can only imagine. Yeah.
They were, and in their whole message is that if you dream big, you work hard, and you get the right support group, you can accomplish really, truly amazing things. And I think both of you are a testament to exactly that same sort of thing. You dream big, you work hard, and look at what you're accomplishing.
And that's a perfect segue, because the next thing I was going to do is ask Refilwe or Adriana if they had a question for you, because both of them have been promoting getting youth in aviation with their organizations. Refilwe with yours in South Africa, and also with yours. And I forget, Refilwe, you'll have to say the name of your organization because I'm drawing a blank right now. And then Adriana's, yours is Orca. But did you guys have any questions for him or comments about what he's talking about?
Yeah, no, just a comment. So my organization is Girls Fly Africa, and I'm really as well inspired about, the work that I've seen here. And so my comment and question is, how do we leverage, like coming from South Africa now, where we are, context some of the knowledge that you have built here to make sure that we impact as many young people, not only, all over the world.
Right.
I know there are EAA chapters around, but not necessarily facilities and some of the programs that you currently run. So how can we leverage such a exchange of knowledge?
Right. And the nice thing is that aeroeducate.org, being a website, is available worldwide. And it is fundamentally, it's English language, but that's okay, because obviously the language of aviation is English, and that will help with their learning and their training, I'm sure. We actually have youth who have signed up through South America. We have youth that have signed up in Australia. We have youth that have signed throughout the Caribbean islands. And we're definitely working right now with the government, the CAA, the Civil Aviation Authority of the United Kingdom right now. And so, yes, even though we kind of have started this through the focus of EAA, the reality is this is very easily translatable to a worldwide audience. The activities are fun. They're designed to engage the kids and let them explore at their own pace and their own interest, and just kind of weave through. It's not like a curriculum where you start one place and come out at another place. And so all of those activities, of which right now there are 176 self-exploratory activities at 4 different grade levels, because we want to create the wording of each activity so it's best comprehension for those age groups, right? And so having done that, we would be absolutely thrilled to have more international registrations. And if it comes to a point where you say, well, is there a way to leverage some of what we've got and move that to an environment in South Africa, we could certainly talk about that. Or for Mexico, right?
Yeah. Adriana, did you have a question for him at all?
Well, also a few comments. I think aviation it's much more than just flying. Is that
absolutely
passion and their I think the experience, going back to the EAA, being
foundation experimental,
the spirit, advocating to promote the spirit of aviation. I think that's very important, especially right now, and going into the future. How can we seed that and grow the seed and promote that? And I think I have been following this enterprise for the last few years, because I think it was fundamental for everybody in aviation to do their part to protect those values that brought us to aviation, and that keep us engaged and loving aviation. And with this, by taking that here, it's like a way to provide that positive experience for really anybody. And it's like a chain reaction for everybody to do similar work, so that we can create similar positive experiences globally as we work together to keep aviation, not only alive, but with that Zest.
Vibrant. Yeah. You know, it's I can see why you and Refilwe are friends. So you guys are both on the same page, but well said. Because I think you're right. It kind of encompasses the spirit of our industry, and that's what EAA focuses on in every aspect, in every way that they can. So we're running out of time, but I wanted to give you, Paul, a chance to, and really, I just wanted to say to you, besides the fact that this is an amazing facility that you get to run, if you, as a teacher, as somebody that's the director of this facility, you run into somebody that doesn't really know anything about aviation, but maybe has an interest, what would you say to them in the beginning of that conversation?
Well, I would actually start off by saying that anything that a young person can dream of, anything that they think that they're interested, any talent, any skill that they can think of has an aviation corollary. The next thing that I would try to emphasize is that with aviation and aerospace, again, counter plugging in, right, is that there's tremendous opportunity. There are talent shortages that are only going to grow for the next 20 years. And we absolutely need more people to be purposefully engaging and getting into the aviation and aerospace industries. Again, that's part of what we created AeroEducate to do. And the nice thing is that not only is it engaging work, it's challenging work, it's thrilling work, it's vital for the success of entire economies. And I don't just mean corporate economies, I'm talking about national economies. And we desperately need to continue to strengthen. I believe that we're right on the cusp of another major leap forward in terms of aviation and aerospace technology and knowledge. And right now we're in that experimental phase, and experimental means innovation. And that's the other exciting part. So if we have youth out there that are interested in experimenting and innovating, and they're really interested in pushing the limits, this is the best place to be able to do it, is in the industries of aviation and aerospace.
I couldn't agree with you more. I totally agree with you about that, about the opportunities and about the industry itself. I mean, advanced air mobility, that's a big thing, and it's the next phase, and it involves a lot, because the FAA air traffic control has to figure out how to incorporate that into the system where everything else is. And I was just talking yesterday about the fact that we're doing numerous rocket launches now, almost like every day or every other day, all over the world. But even here in the United States, we're doing them on the East Coast, West Coast, and in between. And somebody's launching a rocket all the time. And the reason I bring that up and the reason I was talking about it yesterday, is because it's not just a simple thing to launch a rocket and drop some satellites in the sky. It has to fall into an orbit that won't conflict with all of the other things that are in orbit up there and things like that. And that requires people.
Science, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Refilwe, let me give you the opportunity as we kind of wrap up here. Any from all of your background, all that you do, which we could have done a show just on Refilwe because of everything that she's been doing over the last probably 20 years or better. But tell us your, give a final word there in terms of your perspective on things.
I think I am just so inspired and amazed by the amount of work people that are doing voluntarily, because this air show is run by volunteers, and it's not something that you can see often. So in South Africa, we've got a word that is called Ubuntu. It means you are because we are, in a way. So I'm seeing that translated a lot here, where yes, it's about aviation, but it's more even about humanity as well. Just engaging on another different level. So it has been amazing. And that is the spirit that, you go out globally. That's the spirit that you want to see. And I have really been inspired. And the question is, what do I do about that inspiration? How do I carry on that Ubuntu? How do I carry on that sense of humanity, sense of giving? Because I've been given a lot since I got here from Sunday. Now it's time for me to,
Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
So, well, cool. So we're out of time, but I have to end it on the note of you guys got to see the night show last night, the night air show. What Refilwe, was that your first time seeing a night air show?
Yes, I've never seen a night air show, and ask him. You should have just seen my face and like videos and my eyes. It was absolutely beautiful and emotional. I don't know, like the music and the lights and just it was like art. I don't know if like when you play piano, taran taran, and it's just I don't know what to feel it again.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. How about you, Adriana? Did you enjoy it as well?
Yes, it was a good composition. I think when you can watch the air show nonstop from the beginning to end, you can see the composition and it's communicating at the end of the day the values we were discussing. And it's very moving because sometimes you can communicate with words, but when you put on a choreography, this where the dancers are airplanes, and you combine it with lights, music, and sound explosions, and it
Yeah.
goes all through you, and it goes directly to your core to communicate a very powerful message. So
yeah. Well, I have to tell you, it's great to have you guys on, all three of you. It's great to be able to be here at the Youth Education Center because everything that I do with my show, All Things Aviation and Aerospace, is about letting young people know of the opportunities in the industry and about how explosive this industry is right now in terms of its growth. And, this is a surge that we're seeing, and I think we'll see for the next few decades that we haven't seen. Well, at least Paul and I haven't seen in 50 or 60 years.
You're absolutely right. And
I had to pull you in there, Paul. Sorry.
Yeah, no, we're an international family, right? We're all in this together. And again, that idea that we're trying to inspire the next generation.
Yeah. Well, listen, guys, I can't thank you enough for being available. I know I kind of snatched you two from your campsite, and Paul's been busy with all kinds of stuff going on, but it's really been a pleasure having all three of you on to talk about, EAA and everything that it does and about the Youth Education Center here. So thank you very much and wish you both the best. I wish all three of you the best, but ladies, I wish you the best with your pursuit and what you're doing. And I really admire both of you for wanting to give back and bring the next generation into the fray and figure out how to do that. And both of you are actively doing that with your organizations and things like that. So hats off to you with that. But enjoy the rest of the show. I'm gathering you guys will be here for the rest of the week. So have a good time and everything. Paul, you as well, in terms of I wish you the best with the rest of your programs for this duration. So thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
All Things Aviation and Aerospace is a video podcast, and it's a presentation of Private Air Media Group. It's available to watch on demand via my Private Air Media YouTube channel, LinkedIn Live page, and Facebook Live page. We've been on all three right now, and it'll be available after that. It is also available in audio-only version for those of you who just like to listen to the podcast. And it's on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you choose to listen to your podcast. So it's been really great to have everybody on board. Until next time on my next show, everybody take care, stay safe flying if you're a pilot like me, and all the best.